on the line with us. I am so pleased to have back on our program Zephyr Teachout, congressional candidate for New York's 19th District. Her website, Zephyr, Z-E-P-H-Y-R, Teachout, T-E-A-C-H-O-U-T.com. And Zephyr Teachout, welcome back to the program.
Hey, it's so great to be on. A great day.
And congratulations on winning your primary.
Oh, thank you. I feel really good about it. And you know, we had a great, we did have a great primary. You know, we had 3 debates, 15 forums and events. And, you know, I think people often think about primaries as negative or difficult, but actually they can be really important in just getting people together to get in the same room to talk about trade policy and money and politics. Yeah,
and these are really important issues. You know, you have been endorsed by Senator Sanders. In fact, he sent out a fundraising pitch for you.
Yeah, and
among others. And you're one of the early victories in the Bernie-crats, I guess. Do you think of yourself as a Bernie-crat, or is it just that your policies have always aligned? Or
you know, I as you may remember, I ran for governor a couple of years ago in New York State. I didn't win, but we won in this district in the primary. Yeah. And I think I would say even since 2008, if you want to go way back, since the crash, there's been growing dissatisfaction. And we saw in 2014 this incredible grassroots excitement about taking on fracking, about taking on money in politics, and taking on, you know, in that case, it wasn't trade, but talking about where the money's going. And we sort of felt that something was happening. Something different was happening in American politics. And then Bernie Sanders' campaign has been so important because it has taken a lot of that energy and excitement and put a fine point on a few things. One, money in politics, that you can't treat corruption as an 8th tier issue anymore. It's a top tier issue.
Right.
2, trade. We've got to rethink our trade deals. And then 3 I mean, there's a lot of other things too, but I'd say these are 3 things that really resonate in our district, is protecting our water. It's not just Detroit. This is a water year everywhere.
You're talking about the commons, basically.
Yeah, protecting from poisoning. Also, in the long term, protecting against climate change, which leads to flooding. And his opposition to fracking has really helped raise that as a serious issue it should be. I'm opposed to fracking as well. And I think he's done an amazing job at raising up these key issues. So we see a lot of the same issues in this district and in this race.
What's your sense of where the progressive movement is at in the United States right now? It seems to me that, in fact, I should have said this first to kind of set that question up. I watched Donald Trump's speech yesterday, or at least I watched part of it. And in which he was trashing basically.
I did not. I was in a primary yesterday, but I want to read it.
He was trashing neoliberal trade policies. And he was bragging about being able to self-fund his campaign, which is basically trade and money in politics. I mean, he's firing on at least 2 of your cylinders there. And
yeah, it's true, but he's not credible on it.
No, I know he's not credible, and that's the message that I keep trying to share with people on this radio program is, you know, he's a Republican. The entire Republican Party is in the opposite camp, and you can bet if he gets elected, he's going to go in that direction. This is just rhetoric for the election. But the fact of the matter is that all across the nation, people are going, yeah, that sounds right. And I'm wondering, from your perspective as now an insider in the Democratic Party, as an official candidate for Congress on the Democratic ticket, what's your sense of how the Democratic Party, how the Democratic caucus is doing, and is doing in particular on grabbing hold of these progressive issues that just got you elected as the candidate, and that nearly got Bernie, to the. It's
a great question. And I think it's really important. I've been a nominee for under 15 hours, so I have no particular insights from the inside, as you're suggesting. But here I do have an insight from the ground, though.
Okay.
Which is if Democrats don't talk about, just take head on the problems with our current trade policy, and take head on the problems with money in politics, you're going to lose voters. Well, the problem with trade is not just that we're losing jobs, although that's quite serious. It's also that people are losing power. And this growing, bold sense of powerlessness and demand from the ground up to say, hey, I don't like this sense of powerlessness. Let's do something about it. You have to address those issues. I have supporters. I did very well in the Democratic primary yesterday. I was very happy about that. But I have a lot of supporters who are independent. I have a lot of supporters who are unaffiliated. I have supporters who are Republicans. And they're excited about my campaign because I'm talking about these core issues of power and local manufacturing. So I think it's really important for Democrats to recognize at this moment that you've got to take these issues on front and center.
Yeah. The Democratic Party in the late 80s, early 90s sort of abandoned manufacturing as a core value of both the party and the country. And our and it wasn't, it wasn't like the Democratic Party was, the bad guys in doing that. The Republican Party had done that 15 years earlier, right? I mean, that was the Reagan Revolution.
Led the way.
Right. The Reagan Revolution was the neoliberal revolution, and then the Democrats just kind of got on board a decade later. But both parties have embraced these policies that now we look back and we say, these policies have really devastated the American working class. I've been saying for some time, in fact, I wrote a book 4 years ago about it called Rebooting the American Dream that Bernie gave to all 99 other members of the Senate and wrote a nice cover letter for it, suggesting that if we don't go back to a manufacturing-based, basically mercantilist policy, trade policy, that we're going to continue to decline, that you're going to continue to see the destruction of communities, you're going to continue to see that sense of powerlessness, and that sense of powerlessness leads to things like white supremacy, all the bizarre stuff that we're seeing happening on the right, in the Trump area. Your thoughts?
I know. I think there's so many different interesting things you said there, but one that's really important that I want to go back to before what it leads to.
And we have about a minute and a half, if I may.
Yeah, okay. Is what I found is it's really valuable to talk about what we can see right here. In Kingston, in my district, we can be assembling iPhones.
Right.
Like, who's to say we can't assemble iPhones right here? We can't slice apples right here. We can't put together shoes right here. And because I think sometimes people move past anger to being numb and just wanting to give up. And part of the anger is appropriate, but the hope is also essential. And giving that vision of 1 in 5 people making something instead of a service-only economy, which can't work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it'd be before Reagan. I mean, it was almost 1 in 3. Wasn't it like 28% of our economy was manufacturing? Now it's 11% or something like that, if I recall right.
Yeah, and dignity and power and good jobs all come along with that.
Yeah, yeah. And we look at the rise of China and we go, wow, that's amazing. How'd that happen? Well,
well, and we end up talking about China all the time. We're importing I know we have just a second left. In my district, we're importing milk protein from China as well as New Zealand and Mexico in one of the greatest areas you can imagine.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's like, they're also shipping chickens over to China, slaughtered chickens to be plucked and sent back here. I mean, it's just, this whole thing has just totally gotten out of control.
That efficiency just doesn't pass the lab test.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Zephyr Teachout, how people can learn more about you and your candidacy, I'm assuming, at zephyrteachout.com, right?
They can. These days, I'd recommend Facebook or Twitter just because they're more dynamic.
Okay.
You can go to the website. Please go to the website, sign up. But follow us on Twitter or on Facebook. I do my own Facebook and Twitter.
Okay. Add Zephyr Teachout and just search Zephyr Teachout on Facebook.
Twitter, and so far as I can tell, I'm the only Zephyr Teachout, so even if you spell it wrong.
There you go. Hang on just a second.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Sorry, that guy always steps on me. Zephyr Teachout, thanks so much for being with us today.
Great. Thanks so much for having me on.
And congratulations on your victory.
Thanks. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.